All right, I am stuck in traffic, and I'm not holding my phone. Obviously, hands are on the wheel, safety first, all of that. So, in case YouTube wants to be stupid and say I'm being unsafe, hands are on the wheel. So, anyways, owner, operator, or company driver. I have experienced both. I started off as a company driver. Now I'm more of an owner, operator type of role. So the answer to that question is it depends. It depends on what your goals are. It depends on each individual person. It depends on a lot of things, quite frankly. So I'm going to get into a few of those things uh, from a company driver perspective and owner operator perspective, and what I've learned in both, and what conclusions I have drawn from that experience to hopefully give you some insight, and hopefully it'll help you to make a more informed decision. So, first of all, I just want to say off rip that even if you know 100% for a fact I want to be an owner operator, it's probably a good idea to start once you get your CDL, start as a company driver for a company, whether it's a major carrier or not is irrelevant, but I would suggest starting as a company driver, even if it is for a short period of time. And the reason why is because I promise you, you're gonna make mistakes, whether they're major mistakes or minor mistakes. Either way, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's better to make those mistakes on somebody else's equipment, somebody else's truck, and while you're somebody else's employee, so that responsibility, that liability falls on them and not directly on you. Because if you're making some of those mistakes that you're going to make as a rookie fresh out of school, I mean, it happened to me. I can get into a little bit of that, some of the mistakes that I made. But it's better to make those mistakes on their stuff and not your equipment, not your truck, because that's just going to make things so much unnecessarily harder than they should. So that's probably my first recommendation right there. Everybody should start as a company driver, even if it is for a short period of time. Now, as far as the original question, should I be an owner operator? Should I be a company driver? Um, in my experience, like I said, I started off as a company driver with Werner. And if you're interested in getting some information about that, there is a video, actually multiple videos on this channel. And I'm gonna link it in the description and or in the comments to so you can see that if you want to see that. And I also worked for another company for Cisco, the food company. I worked for them for a short period of time, and there is a video of that as well. So I'm also gonna link that in the description and or in the comments. So if I'm driving right now, so if I don't do it now, I will do that after I'm done with this live. I'll go back in and add those links for anyone that's interested in those. So, anyways, I started off company driver, like I said, and I learned a lot. I made mistakes, and I'm glad I made those mistakes as a company driver because now I'm saving myself a lot of extra headaches, a lot of extra hassle as an owner operator because I'm not making those mistakes. Now, I will say, um, generally speaking, if you're thinking about going owner operator, if your goal is to, if your goal is not to at some point stop driving the truck and hire somebody to drive your truck, then that's at a bare minimum, by the way. If that's not your goal, you should probably be a company driver. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to just be an owner operator and drive your truck and that's it. You can do that. But why would you put yourself through that and go through all the headaches, all the hassles, all the stress that comes with being an owner operator when you could just be a company driver, drive for a company and still make your money, still make a decent living or a good living, um, and that'll be it. Have more time to yourself, have more free time, more personal time, more family time, all of that stuff. Because as an owner operator, at least in the beginning, for the first year, maybe two, um, a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna do what I want whenever I want, work the hours that I want, et cetera, et cetera. And at least in the beginning, that's not gonna be the case. You're gonna have to work hours that you may not want to work. You're gonna have to do things that you don't want to do. You're gonna have to put yourself through a whole lot of things that a lot of people don't talk about, and it comes with the territory. So something to think about right there in that regard. Yes, you will have freedom, and yes, assuming you do things correctly, you will work your way up to all of those things where you can make your own schedule and all of that sort of stuff. But that's not something that's going to come right away. So you just need to be aware of that. So now, on the on the contrary, if your goal is to be an owner operator and maybe you want to expand your fleet eventually and buy a second truck, hire a driver, buy a third truck, etc., etc., um, then going the owner operator route is probably the right choice for you because again, you're eventually if you're trying to expand your fleet, you're eventually not going to be driving any of those trucks full time. You're going to hire people, and obviously you're going to be increasing your income, your company's income with the more trucks that you have. So that's probably a good indicator as far as what your goals should and shouldn't be in making that decision of going for a company driver or an operator. So just start thinking about that like, well, what are my goals? Ask yourself that. What are my goals? Because there are certain goals that align more with being a company driver and you'll be better off being a company driver. And there's certain goals that align better with being an owner operator. So once you figure out what your goals are and what your particular situation is, then it'll make it that much easier to come to a conclusion and decide which route you want to go. Now, um, another thing that I've even been guilty of, and I'm sure a lot of people get caught up with, is the money side of things. Um, you think, oh, as an owner operator, I can make a ton of money, which is true, you can. I can make 10, 15, 20 grand a month as an owner operator, which I know that sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but um, don't overlook the expenses that come with being an owner operator. Because you could make, for example, $20,000 a month gross as an owner operator, but you could very easily have 10 or 15 grand in expenses. So in that example, yes, you made a 5 grand profit, but it's realistic for you to make 5 grand working for a company as a company driver. So don't get caught up in the numbers in that regard and like, oh, I'm gonna make so much more money because the thing about being an owner operator is that you have to get the owner part down. You have to get good at the owner part, the business part, because if you don't get good at that, you're limiting your potential, first of all, as far as the profits that you can make. And if you do make profits, you're probably going to make a lot less if you're not good at being an owner. Because the operator part is so easy. I mean, Everybody goes to school, they get their license. If they go to work for a company, they get their experience, they get their practice, and eventually the operator part comes second nature. It'll be like driving a car almost eventually. So the operator and owner operator is so easy. That's not what most people are going to be concerned with. What it's going to come down to for most people, in my opinion, is the owner side. So that's another thing to consider, and that's another part of what I said of there being a lot that comes with being an owner operator. And that a lot is the owner side. You're running a business. Um, Most people don't know how to run a business, or if you have experience running a business, a lot of people aren't successful at it, or they just struggle and barely make it through month to month. So that's something you have to consider is the owner side of things more so than the operator side, in my opinion, because anybody can get their license and drive a truck. Like most people can do that if that's what they wanted to do. So, but if you can't get that owner side stuff down, you're not going to get very far, and that's just the reality. So make sure you're taking that into consideration. And along with that owner side, that's where all of that stress and headaches and all of that I mentioned earlier, most of that is going to come from the owner side because you have so much more to worry about, so much more on your plate, so much more responsibility that comes with being an owner. Um, and for a lot of people, that may not be worth it. And a lot of people may not want to do that. And that's why company driver may be a better option because of that. Because you're just clocking in, driving, clocking out, collecting your paycheck. You don't have to worry about anything else for the most part. You're not going to have all that stress. As a company driver, you're not going to have not even a quarter of the stress that you're going to have as an owner operator, in my opinion. So that's another thing to consider. Um, a lot of people right there, that'll probably be the make or break. And they'll say, yeah, I want to be a company driver instead of an owner operator and that's okay. Like, don't get me wrong. But just like with anything else, there's gonna be rewards. All that extra stress and things that come that may seem like a con of being an owner operator, all of those things have their rewards and their perks. It just takes time to see those rewards and perks. But as long as you stay consistent and you do things correctly and you get good at running your business, you're gonna see those rewards. You just gotta decide if it's gonna be worth it to you to go through those struggles and those headaches to see those rewards. I made that decision personally, and to me, it's worth it. But obviously, that's not going to be the case for everyone. Some people just want to go to work 9 to 5, or just some type of normal schedule, clock out, go home, and collect their paycheck every week, and that's perfectly fine. Um, and if that's you, obviously, come, you're go company driver. There's nothing wrong with that. So just a few things to consider there. Uh, I don't want to keep. I feel like I'm ranting, but um, I feel like until I got the experience of doing it myself on the company driver side and now the owner operator side, a lot of these things I didn't think about before I actually started doing this. And I think it's a good idea for or for everyone to have that conversation with themselves and think about these things before they make a decision, because the last thing you want to do is decide, oh, I want to be an owner operator, and you spend all this money to start up, or even worse, you buy a truck, you dive in the deep end, and once you're in there, you realize, actually, I don't want to do this. That's probably the worst case scenario right there, because you're already in the hole, tens of thousands of dollars. And at that point, you're either going to sink or swim. And if you decide, oh, I actually don't want to do this, yes, you can still keep going and maybe it'll work out, but it's going to be extremely difficult. It'll be like trying to push a stone up a hill. It's not impossible, but again, extremely difficult. So if you can know before you get to that point, or just have more information at your disposal to make a better decision or a more informed decision, then obviously that's better than not. So that's kind of the point of this video, and I'm hoping that with everything I've said, that that's the result, that you can think about those things and just have more information to make a more informed decision. Now, if you're finding any of this information helpful, all I ask, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I will keep making more content just to help people out, and in general to just be a guide of sorts and kind of provide information about things that I wish that I would have found or knew about before I got into this. So that's kind of the whole point of this. So if that's what you're getting from it, I'm glad, and I would appreciate, again, just like and subscribe to the channel. But I hope this has been. I almost hit a mirror. The truck next to me. But anyways, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this gives you something to think about. I hope this information um, has been good, and I hope it helps you make a more informed decision. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I'm stuck in traffic, like I said in the beginning, so I figured let me be productive with this time and share some valuable insights. Uh, so again, I'm gonna link to those videos that I mentioned in the beginning. So if you're interested in those, uh, just wait for those links, because I do share some valuable insight in those videos, especially because those videos were made while I was experiencing those things with those companies. So definitely some good info in those. So stick around for those links if that's what you're interested in. But anyways, that's it. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found this helpful, and see you guys in the next one.